Damn, another one bites the dust. Juliana. Oh, Juliana. But I do wonder what he's actually gonna do. Like, what's gonna be his like retaliation? Because as Kanan was explaining, well, older Kanan was explaining about the whole concept of revenge, and it's about business and it's nothing really personal. But Juliana was the type of female that she was Icarus. She got too close to the sun, and eventually she got burnt because as when Rock was talking to her cousin about it, and he was just like, she was being distant, being cold, and she's not the same person. And he was explaining to her like, she's not the same person. And Rock was explaining to him like, no, she was always that same person. And then he said, all right, let me get my peoples to look into this. And then he was like, yeah, before the sanction goes off. So, I mean, it made sense, though. Sort of made sense. But, I mean, to put a sanction out on your cousin like that, I'm like, Jesus. But, damn it, I was like, Juliana got killed. But, I mean, again, she was Icarus. But, so far, this episode 8, as I said plenty of times before, that things is going to get crazy. And so far, it got mild. It was really mild. The whole Juliana thing, but it was really mild because we seeing how Lulu's he's constantly spiraling, and he's drinking, he's not focused, and then he's at Rock's door talking about, we killers, we need to let the whole neighbors in the world know that we murderers. And she like, Lil, get your ass in here. I was like, okay. But Mama Thomas came in and she was like, watch your son. How the fuck you make what's that shit she made? Burnt toast and burnt eggs? Who the fuck does that shit? That's no, man. What the hell? That shit kind of had caught me off guard. I'm like, burnt food. I'm like, what the fuck? But he stepped out, and then, oh man, now things are starting to get interesting because Patrick Burke went to go talk to Nicole's dad about the whole, what really happened. And then Nicole's dad was explaining, he like, nah, Shannon was just, but then this cop told me some things. And he's like, cop? He said, nah, the name was anonymous, Howard. So now, Patrick Burke, as he's already got the scent in the trail, like, okay, maybe Shannon was right. Maybe Howard was dirty. And as we see, like, Howard was at, I guess, like, at a different, I guess, police station. And I guess he was talking to one of, a connected guy that he knew. And he was saying that, well, since you're going to be one of the feds anyway, or I guess one of us anyway. And he was just like, they really have solid evidence on Marvin that technically, because, the feds want this to be done and over with. Because I guess in the story, I guess it's been like weeks since the feds been there. So they just want this to be done. So, Malcolm Howard, he was like, yeah, all right. But it's not going to look good anyway, because I would say the investigation could be fumbled because he was already a dirty cop. So if he was to be the one to bring in Marvin, that you can argue, well, I mean, even though there's strong ties to Marvin, where it could potentially lead to him like doing some serious time. But then again, if Malcolm Howard brings in Marvin himself, then I would think that maybe the investigation could be thrown out the window, because you can argue that, well, since if he does do this, right, then I don't know, maybe like Rock could come along and be like, well, I can destroy you with the evidence that I have on you. And then Patrick, oh yeah, he could be screwed twice because Rock has dirt on him. And then now Patrick Burke has, he's already caught on to some things. He caught like a whiff of, I guess the truth of what he's doing. So, I mean, he could be screwed both ways, and then I'm thinking maybe the investigation could go out the window. But then again, who knows? Because, I mean, the feds is already looking hard into, like, Marvin. So I'm kind of wondering, like, how they gonna either, like, how is, like, the investigation on him is gonna go away. Because since they are, like, really looking on to him. So I'm just like, okay. Then our girl Juke. Yo, I'm starting to like her a little bit more now, because she was like, Kanan and, Crystal having a time together. And then, Crystal hires some females to jump Juke in the train station. Because in the trailer, I was going to say, maybe that was like Crystal she was fighting with. But then it was like some females. So I'm like, uh-oh. But again, like Juke's story is just like her, contemplating on like what she really wants. So I guess now she's seeming like she wants to be in this group, like she wants to do the whole dance thing, right? But then, she came later and, was trying to like figure some things out. But I mean, we all know what's going to happen anyway, but it's just that it's a building process for her. And then, Marvin and Gerald, because Gerald is trying to write this peace story onto, Jukebox and trying to like, get her out there. But then he's asking all these weird questions, and Marvin's like, hold on now, why you need to stay in the lane. But as we see, Special Agent Tanner had Gerald in the car. He was just like, we need some dirt on Marvin. You need to tell us, otherwise you're gonna be spending a long night in Sing Sing and you ain't ever gonna see your daughters again. So I'm like, oh, they got something on him now. So now he has no choice. But damn, Marvin is kind of screwed also this season, because not only is the feds really looking into him hard, and there's a strong possibility that he could go back to prison, but I mean, if he get rid of Gerald, he's still not safe, because all this evidence that's piled up on him. So he's screwed. He's somewhat screwed, like I said, unless they can throw a monkey wrench into the investigation to maybe blow it up to be like, well, the police department itself has already been tarnished because of Malcolm Howard. So that's the only technicality I see it being played. But then again, who knows, because it's the feds we talking about here, and this is power we talking about here. The law enforcement never wins. They never win. So I'm like, well, we gonna see.
Oh, Theo, listen, please.
Right. And then our boy Ronnie. No, I'm now, before I even get to Ronnie, Snaps and Pop and Rock, when she goes over there to the diner or to the restaurant, and she's like talking to him like, nah, you need to stay away from Kanan. He talking all polite to her. He's like, nah, man, see, you don't understand. I don't want to get into the delicacies of a parent and a child, and there's nothing wrong with what Kanan is doing. It's just he's not messing with us, but. And then he's just like, nah, you need to stay away from my son. And then he gets up and he's like, nah, how dare she come into our home, our space, and talk crazy to us. Now we gonna get this personal. So I'm like, I'm wondering what they gonna do, because they talk about how they, old school, they've been around the block, and DEF CON was feared and shit, because Now going forward into the beginning part of it, where they were sitting at the table with Kanan, they was talking about these stories about DEF CON, about how he was feared, and then asking like this question of should you be feared or should you be respected? But it's a trick question, but it's really one answer, where like Kanan said, like you have to be feared in order for you to be respected, because if you're not feared, then nobody respects you. So I like that. I like that. But it's also him, they're teaching him, because they're like, yeah, if you want people to, I guess, fear you, or no, if you want people to respect you, they gotta fear you, as we see in the original Power, where he was feared. He definitely was feared. It wasn't none of that, pussyfoot shit. He was feared. So I'm like, well, this is like training for Kanan. And that's when Ronnie, later on came along, was just like, hey, talking to like that child services woman, because he was just like, because Rock sent the services over there, because after Rock discovered that well, not her discovering, but Quan telling her about the whole competition, which she had Marvin go figure out like, oh, what Kanan is actually doing, because she tells him about it, and then it's just like, oh, he's doing heroin. But then they try to figure out where they're getting the heroin from, and that's when Quan is just like, oh, you got competition, you need to handle this, and you need to do more around here. So as she finds out about the whole incident, and she tries to go over to like Snaps and Pop and seeing if they was doing it, which wasn't, and then now she goes over to Panessa's home and talks to her about it and try to figure out what's really going on. And that's when it was just like, oh, like Ronnie is dating Juliana or whatever, and then she figures it out, and she's like, okay, that's where they getting the product from. And then that's when she shut down that whole ordeal in business. And Ronnie's gonna be pissed about this because he's gonna be like, yo, we was making some good money together, and Rock just killed all of that. So I'm like, well, it's gonna be hell to pay, man. It's gonna be hell to pay. Somebody, man, this shit gonna get good. But man, overall, this shit was, you know, it was there, you know, it was quite there, you know, mild, right, mild, because, you know, as we seeing much more of the story being progressed of, you know, Gerald has no choice but to talk, and, you know, Marvin doesn't know anything what's going on, that he doesn't even know that there's a horizon storm, you know, approaching him, and eventually it could take him in, and he may never get out. And Lulu's just a mess. You know, he's drunk, he's peeing all over the place, he's shooting, attempt to shoot people that's trying to rob him. It's just, Lulu's just, I don't know. I feel like Lulu will probably have like a redemption arc. I feel like he will. I think he probably, if he doesn't die, then I think he probably might have like maybe a redemption arc on him to maybe redeem himself. That's why I'm thinking in the trailer too, that when we seen that somebody holding a gun on Lulu, if that person doesn't pull the trigger on him, then he might have like some sort of redemption arc for him, and maybe he might do something in season 4 or whatever, if he doesn't die this season. So, but also too, you had Marvin and the whole Terry situation, because he was in there getting evidence, because he was like, Rock was like, well, I need those trucks, and Terry's not playing ball. He's like, nah, my brother had a better deal, so I'm trying to get a deal. And it's just like, Rock is, you know, she was being a little ruthless this episode. She's being really ruthless, where she was like, nah, forget Lulu, we need to focus on this money. She's like, you trying to get paid, right? You need this money, right? So you're like, all right, yeah, you're right, Rock, I gotta get paid. So he was like, all right, let me you know, get the evidence and set things up as a course, right? But the thing is, it's just, as I said before, everything is not looking good, because all eyes is on Marvin at this point, because anything can happen this season. So, woo, just one more thing. Now, I want to know what was the thing with Snaps was talking about with Rock about the whole Stefano thing, like, you know, he loved black women and how they basically own him. And I'm like, whoa, like, what you mean y'all basically own him? Because he's like, oh yeah, we know about everything. And I kind of hope that, you know, Snaps and Pop, they don't die this season. I really do, because it seems like they know more about what was going on in the past, because when they was talking to Rock about the whole, you know, yeah, we remember you using barrettes and this and that or whatever, hanging around DEF CON or whatever, because I mean, at the time she was 16 when, you know, DEF CON was doing his thing, and he had her by his side and whatnot, right? So I'm like, well, you know, I kind of want, like I said, more of a backstory and much more of an explanation. Now, granted, we do know that they was former bank robbers, but it's just that we're missing a little bit more information on, you know, what they meant by that. Because it's like, it seemed like Stefano, yeah, with the whole Italian family, and he, you know, is with them, but I don't know, from what Snaps was talking about, it seemed like they own Stefano or whatever. So I'm like, oh shit, like, what you mean? But I want to know. I just want to know, like, what's gonna happen there, and if Stefano have any backbone. Because I mean, from what it looks like, well, no, because Stefano did have guys, so I can't say he doesn't have any men or any manpower. But it's just, I don't know. Maybe what Snaps was talking about could be true. Like, maybe Stefano doesn't really have everything, and maybe, you know, they was the ones in control of certain aspects of things, and that maybe Stefano is basically dirt underneath their boot or whatever. But come on now, I can't wait. Yeah, but, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and, you know, tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and yeah, get you all in the next one.